The day would soon arrive when I could not ignore the rash. I was obviously ill, and so I called on Dr. Nash. This standard consultation would adjudicate my fate. I walked into his surgery, and I gave it to him straight. I said, "Doc."
The great romance of travel took a young bloke by the hand to the dream of something better in an unknown foreign land. The winds of autumn whispered for his spirit to belong, with an atmosphere he tasted in the lyrics of a song. He packed his bag, he packed his flag, an old guitar as well. The road would write the story that he knew he had to tell. He was flying from his home, the lucky land. He counted down the days and still that song was on his brain, till a customs desk at Brisbane sent him out to meet his plane. At last his soul was flying from a town of obligations at the point of no return, and he had no reservations. The truth was out there somewhere, deep inside he knew it, and if destiny was something real, then fate would bring him to it. The road would write the stories that he knew he had to tell. He's flying from his home, the lucky land. He knew the night was London when the stars above him snowed, and he walked the famous crossing on the tar of Abbey Road. He touched the block that chilled the flesh of many royal necks, felt a dose of Ashes history that a tour of lords injects. He sang the song of Cardiff, bread of heaven, Wales forever. At Lansdowne Road it belted out a verse of nay, no, never. The road was writing stories that he knew he had to tell. He'd flown far from his home, the lucky land. Dublin turned to Publin in the days that followed that. On barroom stools from Tommy Wright's to Scruffy Murph's he sat. He sailed the ring of Kerry and he scaled the cliffs of Moore. He drank the brown in Galway town and toasted to the poor. He kissed the stone at Blarney and he saw Killarney's splendour. Then he marched the streets of Belfast reading signs of no surrender. The road was writing stories that he knew he had to tell. He'd flown far from his home, the lucky land. On a cold Patrick mountain peak, he stood in awesome solace. He smiled at Stirling Castle in the name of William Wallace. He danced upon the woodwork where the Beatles once rehearsed, and then he heard the roar at Aintree as the horses jumped the first. Places, faces, Guinness chasers racing through his mind. Have you ever had the feeling that you've left something behind? The road was writing stories that he knew he had to tell. He'd flown far from his home, the lucky land. For even as he reached the end, he started reminiscing. If only he could find the part that all along was missing. Every night he tossed and turned in dreams of something lost. In a world of hidden secrets, he would search at any cost. He'd come so far to find it, now he faced his greatest fear. The hardest thing of all was that it seemed so very near. It was somewhere on a runway that the missing piece was found. He knew that as the tire rubber touched Australian ground. That something he was searching for was with him from the start. Every day he spent away, it never left his heart. He would not forget the beauty and adventure that he met. But of all the vivid memories, there's one I won't forget. The great romance of travel took a young bloke by the hand to the place that he was missing, to his home, the lucky land. The road had written stories that he knew he had to tell. He'd flown back to his home, the lucky land.